Okay, so I think we'll get going here, and I'm going to pass it over to Kahir first to say a welcome.
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I want to first off acknowledge that I am calling in from the unceded, ancestral, and stolen lands of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And at the outset, just take a moment to pause and reflect on the strife, the conflict, and the oppression that's happening to many peoples across the world today as well, and really recognize the privilege that we have in being together today on these lands. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. First of all, I want to acknowledge Christine, her team, Grace, and Claudine for their participation and their leadership in putting together this webinar. And to welcome all of you who I'm sure have taken time out of your lunch to be with us to learn about the work that we're going to be doing together. Many of you will know that under the Healthy Aging umbrella, we've been investing and working with community-based senior service agencies across the province. And as our work under Better at Home, social prescribing, therapeutic activation programs for seniors, family caregivers have expanded, there has been in a parallel stream, different manifestations of our active aging work, our digital literacy work. And to that end, and in the spirit of innovation, we wanted to introduce this group, if you haven't heard already, to Java Social and the impact that it has made in the lives of older people, and how we can maybe look at bringing this to our organizations and more intentionally to the community-based senior serving sector here in BC. We have a couple representatives on the line or on the webinar from community-based service agencies who have been part of this program and implementing this program within their respective agencies. You'll hear from them. You'll hear from Christine, and team who are the pioneers behind this program. And really, it's an opportunity for you to learn, to reflect, and to see if there's interest in bringing this program to your agency. United Way BC, through our active aging funding stream, is funding this program to bring to about 10 agencies across the province. And we will be leaning on those that are selected to inform us around, the impact and the potential scalability of this potential program of this program. We're excited. We think it's unique. It adds a unique lens and an approach to the work that we're all collectively doing in supporting older British Columbians. Following this webinar, expression of interest form will be circulated to all those that have registered and are here today, followed by a selection process over the next few weeks. And we'll send out more information on that post webinar. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Christine to lead us through the rest of our conversation together here.
Unmuted. Okay. Hi. Thank you so much, Kahir. I'm thrilled to be here and really excited to tell you about this program that we have developed and the opportunity for you. So loneliness is a big problem. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here that you know this, but we have learned that it accounts for an estimated $6.7 billion in excess Medicare spending annually, every year. So even more concerning than that, though, is the emotional harm that loneliness does. And many of you might know of Dr. Vivek Murthy. He is the U.S. Surgeon General, and he did a cross-country tour of the United States, and he wanted to know about loneliness. He didn't understand when he first became the Surgeon General in 2014 how loneliness was impacting people. So that's why he went across the country, interviewed people, and he shares this story that a fellow told him when he was interviewing him. And this man said to him, "If I disappear tomorrow, no one will even notice." So, but despite our best efforts, the problem is getting worse. So what needs to change? We know that the impact of loneliness is devastating, and you may well have seen this study that just came out last week, published in the journal eClinical Medicine. And it said in this study that lonely older adults have a 50%, 56% higher increased risk of getting a stroke. And there's other impacts too of loneliness that we know, that you're more likely to get heart disease, you're more likely to fall. There's a long list, more likely to get dementia. And so we know that there is no pill, there's no vaccine for loneliness, but the cure and the only solution is to make a friend. So a friend isn't usually, the best ideal person, not usually a professional, even though that's kind of the traditional approach. And it's not even a neighbor or a family member. It's somebody who understands or perhaps has gone through the same thing that you have and is willing to share about that. So peer support is everywhere in the community. And you may well have heard of some of the peer support groups that are offered by, say, the Cancer Society offers them, the Alzheimer's Society. And the reason that they get used so much is that when people share with a peer what's going on for them, it promotes social engagement, it builds friendships, real, deep, meaningful friendships, and it facilitates independence. So all those things are really good. The Java Social Project, however, is unique, and I'm going to explain why. It is a weekly structured peer support program. It has emotion-based discussion topics in it, 52 of them, and it promotes sharing and friendship. So all peer support groups do that, of course. So why is Java Social unique? And that is because it is not focused on a condition or an illness. So it's not focused on, you have something and therefore you want to go to this peer support group. This has a very low barrier to entry. So when you invite people to come to Java Social, Java just stands for coffee. People often ask me why we call it Java Social, and I say it's because we don't want to call it a non-pharmacological, psychosocial, therapeutic peer support group, because nobody would come. So Java just stands for coffee. And so we say, come and join us. We share a little bit, we get to know each other. And that way people are more likely to come. The other unique thing about Java Social is that it is ongoing. So typically with peer support groups, they only last for 6 or 12 weeks, pardon me. And then the group ends. And so just as people are getting close to each other and building close, meaningful relationships, the group stops. And so this is why Java Social is so unique, because it's ongoing forever and ever. Amen. So the other unique thing about Java Social is the program materials. So it comes with a facilitator's guide. This is a big binder with lots of stuff in it. There's a step-by-step guide, group icebreakers and group energizers. There's a Java reflections. I'm going to explain all this a little bit in a moment. There's Java journals, there's a welcome sign, and then there's a singing bowl. And I'm going to explain how all of this works as we go through this. So all the program materials come in a big box, and of course you get to keep them after the grant is over. So Java Social works, as I said already, it's a weekly 1-hour peer support program. It is led by your staff, and Java provides a 1.5 hour training on Zoom to learn how to facilitate the program. So the training is quick, it's easy, and it's fast. Then the facilitators follow a step-by-step guide. So they can refer to the guide as they're going along, so they don't have to worry if I have to, did I remember everything in the training? It's easy for them to learn how to do it. The ideal Java social group is about 8 to 10 group members. That's approximate. It can be bigger. I know Grace will share a little bit about her group, which is a bit larger than that. The length is 1 hour approximately. And ideally, you want to have a private room with a closed door. Or if you don't have access to that, if you have it in a larger group area, to do some kind of put some kind of a divider up so that there's some privacy there. The facilitator guide is divided into 2 parts. The first part of it is all the things that the facilitator needs to run the program. So there's theme titles, icebreakers, like I talked about earlier, how to introduce a journal. All those things are in the first part of the guide. And then the second part of the guide has 52 themes, photographs, quotes, and reflections. So just a multitude and rich program materials for the facilitator, so they don't have to think about what are we going to talk about this week. It's all laid out for them. Each theme has 3 questions and prompts. So the Java reflections, which I've mentioned a couple times, they are written by yours truly. And the way they are set up is they are a jumping off point for discussions in these support groups. So, and I write in it in the beginning that while your understanding of these topics may differ from mine, they can serve as food for thought, and it gives people something to talk about. So the Java journal is a place for people to write their thoughts. And it's optional. It's introduced after 4 sessions of the Java social program, using the topic writing and healing. So group members can, if they're interested, they can take a journal home with them and they can bring it back to the group or not. It's totally optional, and they can decide what they want to do with the journal. Here's a photograph of the inside of the journal. I kind of took a picture of it like this. So you can see here's the topic, being of service. It has a little bit abbreviated part of my Java reflections there. Some space to write. You can see there's a quote at the top about being of service. And then there's 3 questions that they can reflect on as they're writing. So the step-by-step guide, and I'm going to kind of walk you through really quickly because I know our time is very limited here. The step-by-step guide has an introduction that the facilitator can read out, and we really encourage people to serve coffee and treats if they can. We know coffee and treats are magical when people are going to things, and to offer roles to group members as they're coming in. So maybe the first person that comes in, say, could you welcome people when they come in the door? The next person could be the guidelines reader. Another person could play the singing bowl. So and the singing bowl, I'm going to talk about in a minute, but then they read the introduction, then they welcome new people and facilitate an icebreaker. So it's really simple. You can see how easy it is to follow along with this step-by-step guide. Within the step guide, there's lots of flexibility though. And I know Grace will talk a little bit about that. So here are the group guidelines. They're very simple. We really encourage people to read. I invite a different group member each week to read these group guidelines. It's about keeping things confidential that are heard here, respecting each person's right to their opinion, keeping your sharing to a few minutes. We avoid controversy and discussion of political or religious causes for obvious reasons. We do our best not to interrupt, comment, or give advice. And we have one guiding principle, and that is loving kindness. The singing bowl is actually, I'm going to hold it up here. Well, mind you, there's a picture there too, but you can see that rather than playing it, a typical singing bowl is played by rubbing, the stick around, but here we use it like a gong, and it's wonderful for this getting centered practice. So we would invite one of the group members to play the singing bowl just like a gong, and they hit it lightly 3 times, and it just helps people. It's a wonderful way to get people centered. And then the group facilitator invites people to take a deep breath in and breathe out. And you do that 3 times slowly. It's so simple. And it's a wonderful way to help people relax. If people have come in with tension and agitation, it gives them a chance, just to get centered and be in the group. Very simple and easy for people to do. Here's an example of one of the topics called choosing joy with a photograph. And so typically when I facilitate a group, I would choose 2 topics and I would hold them up and I say, should we talk about this or should we talk about that? And then people can just vote. It's very fun way, but it's also important, because then the group members take ownership of the group, because they're the ones choosing what is to be discussed today. And that really matters. So once they've picked the topic, then I invite people to share. I might say, Grace, could you, I keep picking on Grace because I can see her, Grace, would you like to share? She shares a bit. I might also just start off with a quote, and there's usually about five quotes or so for each topic. So you don't have to go looking for them. They're there and you can choose one. This one is so lovely. Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. And so that kind of opens up the discussion for people and gives them something to talk about, can we choose joy or not? And then we have these questions. So I might say to Kahir, I might say, what does joy mean to you? And so he can share about that a little bit. Then I would say, what would add more joy to your life? So they can just share about this topic of joy, which is such an interesting topic in any case. And, the reason the topics are emotionally based is because it makes a difference when often we're talking about, when we're sitting around having coffee with people, we're talking about the weather, we're talking maybe a bit about politics or, but, I had one person say to me, thank God we finally have somewhere to talk about something other than what's for lunch. Meaning that it's just wonderful to have a place to really share about what's going on in here. And the reason that that matters is because when people share what's going on in their life, like when I share something that would add more joy to my life, for me, it's going for a walk I live close to Stanley Park. I go walk there every day. And, that adds so much joy to my life. I like seeing the ducks. I like seeing the beautiful trees that grow there. What happens is when people share about what's going on for them, the good things and the things they're struggling with, is that empathy starts to flow between people. And when empathy starts to flow, that's when friendships develop. People get to know each other. The third question you can see is about what could you do to bring joy to another? Now, the third question is about helping others, and this is very intentional. We know that helping others, getting our attention and intention off of ourselves and onto others, has a host of mental and physical benefits. It builds meaningful relationships, it reduces depression and loneliness, and it increases social engagements. And that's just a few of the many benefits of it. And it's been called the helper's high. When we help other people, we just feel really good about ourselves. So here's an example of one of the Java reflections. And again, these are, just my thoughts about joy, and I share that being a joyful person has often felt out of reach. So, when I'm vulnerable in that way, it gives other people permission to be vulnerable too. And a friend suggested I pay more attention to joy. And she said, look for one thing that brings you joy each day. And, and so now I try to remember to look for and notice something that brings me joy. It can be a small thing. So that's a kind of idea, is that somebody would read the Java reflection and then it gives people more things to talk about or reflect on. So then after a few more people have shared, then we share on a photo. And so as a facilitator, I'd say, I'd like to take a pause now and take a look at this picture. What do you see going on? And that's how easy it is. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's very simple. So then we do a gratitude practice. Could someone please volunteer to share one thing you're grateful for and why? If you have more time, you might go around the whole room and get someone to do that. But as a facilitator, you can kind of judge the time, how it's going. Then we go to inviting a guest to come next week. We offer posters about the program that you can print out. Also, these invitations to come to Java Social. So I would say to my group, we've come to our closing. Is there someone we could invite from your community to join us next week as a guest? And when people receive a special invitation, like a printed invitation to come to something, they're much more likely to attend than if they just see a poster. So that's a really great way for the Java Social participants to do outreach into their community. They might take a poster with them and post it in their building. So different ways that you can get more people coming. And then we invite people to take part in the closing affirmation. Again, the person who's taken on the role of being the singing bowl player will hit the singing bowl 3 times, and then we read it out together, and you can join me if you want. I love, accept, and appreciate all of me just as I am today. I bring understanding and compassion, and I receive understanding and compassion. I bring love, and I receive love. I bring peace, and I am at peace. So that is, then when we get to the end of it, I always say to my group participants, thank you for joining us. Please stay on a bit and connect after the meeting, because we want them to do that. It's so important. Sometimes that is when the friendships develop, is after the group is over. So it's really important to say, hang around, drink coffee, here's some cookies, hang out together. So with that, I wanted to share a little bit about the project details, just very briefly. I know we've gone over this already. The start date of the Java Social Project is August 15th, and it goes until March 30th. The start date is anytime after August 15th, but we encourage you to start by September 30th. The expression of interest is due July 15th, as Kahir mentioned, 1 hour weekly program facilitated by your staff. There's no ongoing cost or subscription, so you get to keep the program materials that stay with you after the grant, so you can continue the program. And we provide live trainings and support and recorded trainings as well. So when you have new staff that join your community, you can show them the recording and they can get trained that way. So I'm going to stop there. Oh, last but not least, it's a lot of fun. This is the topic for the photograph for the topic humor, and I just had to share that because it's very funny. The evaluation, please don't be worried about, don't panic. It's fast and it's easy. We've provided very simple forms that you can fill out, and United Way has one check-in in January of 2025. So the evaluation is fast and easy to do. Okay, so now I don't know if Claudine has been able to join us.
I'm here.
Oh, she's there. Oh, yay, Claudine. Okay, so I will let her tell you a little bit about the Java Social at the West End Seniors Network. And Claudine, I'll advance your slides for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Haven't done that before with somebody else driving, so thank you for doing that. Just as a way of a little bit of an introduction. So my name is Claudine Matlow. I'm the Executive Director over at West End Seniors Network. I did not facilitate the program, but was part of the initial sessions and have spoke in depth with our coordinator for the program. So I'm sharing some of her reflections as well as some of my observations. Awesome. And just a little bit about who we are, if you're not sure, our mission and our vision, particularly around our vision. So a community that supports and empowers older adults to live involved, healthy, and fulfilling lives. And for us, the empowerment piece is one of the key pieces that also connects with the philosophy of the Java Social. So giving people more empowerment over their emotions and their lives and connecting with friends. Yeah. So just a quick photo of some of the participants from our first cohort. And I was happy to share that this group of participants loved the group, and we had a wait list of 5 people at any given time waiting to get in the group. Following the guidance of the program, we kept it small, 8. Once in a while, it floated to 10, but the size of the group was really, really helpful. The participants range, as you can see, in age, physical ability, and what they came with to the program. So one of the fellows, actually yesterday when the program started, that I chatted with on the way in, had come because his wife had died 6 months ago, and he wanted to make some new friends. And he didn't want to, be in a bereavement group, but just wanted to hang out, talk about what was going on, and meet some people. It was an amazing moment, and just one of those things you're like, and that's why right there. So it was a great piece to see. Let's go to the next one. So a few reflections on our participants' experience on this slide, but before I go into that, I just also wanted to share a little bit about the materials and the process and moving into the program that I think made the difference. So a few things that made a big difference for us were the materials that were provided. It was concrete, it was usable, the participants related to it. As well, the facilitator for our program is a yoga instructor. So I think coming with that background, it really set the room and the tone for the program for people. The journal was exceptional. People really enjoyed that process, and I think a really important tool of the program. And when I reflected also on the poster that we used, we kept the language really light. It was come and meet people. It was around, you know, exploring some of your emotions, but we kept it quite light. And I think that allowed people to see themselves in the program and not hesitate to join and be a part of it. So some of the reflections from our participants felt a sense of community, felt they could share about things, different things and ideas, which is really important, felt there was space for different opinions, and enjoyed the journal, as I mentioned, and the process of self-reflection. And I think for most of us and our participants included and our members, too often we're rushing to the next thing. And the space that was set up allowed people to pause and have a conversation about just one or two topics and reflect and not rush on to the next thing. And I think that was really helpful for people as well. And again, that tone that was set. I listed a few of their favorite sessions on the side, as Christine mentioned. There's lots of them, but these were some of their favorites: the courage to connect, living in the present, trust, living with purpose, and forgiveness and peace. The next one. And a few direct quotes from some of the participants, which I thought were just lovely. And I always enjoy reading people's thoughts about the program. So lovely program, sense of community. They felt it was casual and they enjoyed and needed a group like this. And I think the casual part is an important piece. There's a lot of formal support groups out there, but something where you can just come and be vulnerable and open is not offered very often. So great program, chance to discuss deeply. People are open to different ideas. I love it. All steps are good. So getting centered, reflections, the journal, and they read their journals after each of the sessions, writing their own notes, and I write them clean in the journal. It's a good self-reflection opportunity. So a few more thoughts from folks, and we can go to the next one, and that's it. So I'm absolutely open to any questions people might have. We were thrilled to be able to offer it, and even more so that we can just keep rolling with it. And I think, again, the materials allowed there to not be a lot of excessive preparation required for the program, which helps us in terms of being able to fit it into the programming portfolio that we already offer.
Great. Thank you so much, Claudine.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'll have time for questions. I wanted to move on to let Grace share a little bit about her experience with the Java Social at Gordon Neighborhood House.
Wow. First of all, Christine, I just want to say thank you for an amazing program and also for an opportunity to work with you. I just want to say hello to all the participants today and thank you for all the interest. I think it's fascinating. Just for some background with myself, I work with a Jewish Seniors Alliance. We do the peer-to-peer support, but on an individual basis. We have about 80 volunteers and about 140 seniors we support. But I also work at Gordon Neighborhood House 1 day a week, and I've been doing that for many years, supporting seniors who are disconnected, living alone, and not feeling they have any purpose. So we all know, Christine, you alluded to all of the hazards with social isolation. So working at Gordon Neighborhood House, I've been doing some of the facilitation in an informal basis, depending on the needs of the individual. But when Christine came on board, and I met Christine about 4 years ago, and she introduced the Java program, and it was just restarted about 2 to 3 months ago at Gordon Neighborhood House. We had already had our group in place. We have about 14 to 18 participants at any given time. What I found so great about the Java program, it helped me as a facilitator. It helped me to be more guided, to be more centered with the participants. So giving you the background on who the people that come to the Gordon Neighborhood House Lounge every Tuesday from 1 to 3, those are seniors that are not connected with people. They mostly live alone. They don't have a lot of family support. So they come to have that connection. So introducing the Java program and starting off with the group norms, going through those, giving people that sense of safety is really so important. And Christine talked about the singing bowl. And I have to tell you, the feeling that comes with the singing bowl is absolutely magical. You can feel the whole room, and all 14 to 16 people at one time give that huge sigh of relief. They are now centered. We do the breathing process and even more centered. Then we take out our book and we go through, we read a quote. And yesterday, for example, we did seeking support from others. And as Christina's gone through the Java program, what that looks like. So we take a specific 2 different situations and we vote on. So seeking support. And I passed around a photograph and it showed a little seedling maturing, a little baby flower seedling being passed from one hand to another. And what happened then was, again, so magical, because I wanted to know, what did that mean to people when we talk about social connection and seeking support? And one woman said vulnerability. And that was quite incredible, because in a group of 14, to be able to talk about some of the reasons why we are afraid of seeking support from others. We are very capable of giving support, but in our darkest hour, we are scared to say, I need some support. So just initiating that conversations on why that is happening was really great. And thanks to you, Christine, leading us in with this. We are having dynamic discussions and talking about things like vulnerability, the prevention that stops us from asking for help, and how to have that group cohesiveness where this is a safe place for everybody. I love the fact that we are non-judgmental. We don't interrupt. Everybody has equal space to talk and to share. And the most important topic that does come into it, and Christine, you also spoke about, the empathy that happens. It just seems to come and flow at a very natural pace with the Java program. And I believe, Christine, that was your whole purpose. Creating a room full of empathy is indeed the most magical room that you can be in. And yesterday, Christine was in our room, and just hearing all of the participants as they talk about their fears, how they would love to get help. And then after, when we finish, to hear people say, here's my phone number. I am here if you need me. May I call you because I've got something I would like to talk about. I believe this is the most important thing that we could put out there for seniors in terms of encouraging that, so that we are not isolating. We should have so many places like this where people are feeling, wow, this is a great place. This is a safe place. We can talk about all of those issues. We can talk about empathy. We can talk about how we can be more empathetic to others, how we are confidential, how we create that trusting place. I could go on, but the beauty in the room is unbelievable. And as a facilitator, I feel such an honor to be the facilitator and to get everything out of that room. I believe I gain much more from the group than they gain from me and the Java program, because it's all that happens with them. You can see the empowerment. You can see that flower grow within an hour. You can see the difference it's making. I'm a firm believer in the Java social program, and I love working with Christine and over at Gordon Neighbor House. And Christine, I just want to say from my heart, a big, big thank you to all that you've done and your passion for senior isolation and trying to make a difference in seniors' lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Grace. That was wonderful. Okay, yeah, Grace is a magnificent facilitator, and I would join any group that she has going. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We want to leave lots of time for questions. If you're interested, you need to let them know by July 15th, and I know Kahir's going to send out the expression of interest. So let me stop the share here so we can, whoop, hang on here. Did that wrong. Sorry. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay. So, right. Oh, I see there's a whole host of questions here. If you want to unmute and ask questions too, does that work too? For people? I think so.
Shane, there's some questions in the chat, and then the attendees are able to ask questions if they raise their hand, and then that gives us the ability to unmute that
Okay.
person that can ask it. So
Right.
whichever one you want to do first.
Sure. Well, I'll try to scroll through the chat. I just want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. I just see it because there's a lot of wonderful messages, people saying where they're from, etc. So I'm just going to scroll down here to make sure. Okay. Yeah, so Beverly Pittman asked about the company behind Java Social. So that's a great question. So we are called Java Group Programs, and we initially started out in senior living and have developed peer support and peer mentoring programs for long-term care homes, assisted living, and retirement. And really trying to focus on the loneliness that exists. It's devastating. It and impacts easily half or more of the residents. So we're in over 2,000 organizations now across Canada and the US. We've done an abundance of research on these programs, and we're continuing to do research. And if you go to javagp.com, maybe somebody could post that in the chat. We've got the science behind Java there, and so you can take a look at the research outcomes of these programs. So thank you for that question. Okay, see what else. Does the grant provide a wage for the facilitator? I don't think so. Maybe Kahir wants to say something about that. So the staff would need to provide the program. The reason we did that is because we found that when volunteers facilitate the program, they come and they go. And so then the program might just be launched, and then the volunteer goes off on their summer holidays, and that's it for Java Social until they come back, if they come back. And so it just becomes a really scattered kind of a program, and the development of the trust and the relationships is so important in these groups. So that's why it needs to be staff facilitated, but it can be any of your staff. We provide training, and we've trained all kinds of different people in doing this program. And all that is required is, an affinity for the program and a willingness to learn. And we provide ongoing support too. So they can call us if they run into any trouble. We provide ongoing support. How many participants involved? So it's probably best to have it to about 8 to 10 people in the group. When it gets much larger than that, you're better off to start a second program. So then that way, maybe have one on Tuesday and one on Friday or something. That way more people can join. Although I know Grace has, I've seen up to 16 or something participants in her group. That's a lot. But yes.
I would just add as well to mine so that people don't get confused. I have 14, 16, and sometimes 17, but I have a 2-hour program. So for the first hour, it's really about a checking in with everybody. So everybody has a chance. So I have more time. And then the second hour is for the Java program. So I have more people, but I have more time as well. So just wanted to add that, Christine.
Great. Thank you, Grace. That's so true. The materials that are provided are, well, you can share the reflections. There's 10 of them that come in a kit. But they can share those. and we provide journals, but you can always purchase more of those if you want more, if you want to add another group. Okay, is it a closed or open group? It can work as an open group too, I think. We have found that every single session is a session unto itself. You know, so of course, trust builds in the relationships as the group goes on, but people would often just come in for one group and go, oh, this is really great. And then they can come back. So can the program be delivered less than once a week? I would say if you do it less than once a week, it becomes an event. You know what I mean? Like for the trust to grow, I would really encourage you to have it as a weekly program. That is the ideal scenario. That's when you're going to find the biggest reductions in loneliness and social isolation. So that's great. Thank you for these questions. They're really good. I want hopefully I don't miss anything. Good. Okay. Other questions? Let me know if I've missed anything in the chat. I'm just going through.
Christine, I noticed about the open or closed. May I address that
Please.
from my group? I keep mine very open. Sometimes people may not be able to come for that particular Tuesday, but each session, it's not a continuation. So it works very well to have it open, I believe. Christine, you may want to elaborate on that as well.
Yeah, I think too, I think I'm like Grace that way. I hate to turn anybody away, you know, and I know that at the West End Seniors Network, they have a wait list, you know, and that's tough enough, right? So, you know, it's nice to keep it open. It depends on the spacing though, too, because I know I've been at that group and they don't have a whole lot of room in that room. So it's tricky. Ideally though, you know, it's better to have a second group than just to have one. And I don't know, Claudine, if you want to talk a little bit about a second group that you're thinking of starting. I don't know if she's still there. So somebody wrote, we have an adult day program. Would this be suitable? Absolutely. It's we have it in adult day programs in a lot of different places already. So it's it works great there. It's perfect. And even if people are only there for a certain amount of time, that really works. Oh, there's Claudine. Did you want to share a little bit about that or?
Sorry, my computer system just totally
Oh,
shut
did it?
down.
Oh, no.
Just
Oh, yeah,
rebooted
yeah.
it and jumped
Yeah.
back in, so I did not hear where we were. Sorry.
Yeah. People were asking about doing different kinds of groups, and I don't know if you wanted to share some of the plans that you have for the future.
Ah, yes. So we've got two different kinds of groups, and it's just an opportunity, I think, for maybe more of that peer work that Grace does so beautifully and knows so much about. And we have a very large contingent of Farsi speaking folks. So looking at having a Farsi speaking group, because that's definitely a need for us, and we're fortunate to have two Farsi speaking staff who will be able to support that group, as well as we have our Golden Guys group, and they are looking at adapting and using some of the material and developing a group for themselves. So
Great. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so each community can choose what the need is in your community. And then because the program materials are very adaptable and translatable. Aaron asked about, has this ever been offered as a virtual group? Yes, it has. And it's fascinating to do it on Zoom. So we can talk more about that if you're interested. In a rural area, oh, this is such a good question. How do you deal with transportation, especially in the winter? Yeah, that's a tricky question. And I know that's been brought up before. It's so important. And I don't know all the answers to that. That is something that we're going to have to explore. How can we get people to the program? I know that there's some grants available for transportation, and I know Beverly is here. Maybe she can talk a little bit about that if she's available to do that. Is it an ongoing group? Yes. Thank you. from Robin Rivers there. Yes, it should be an ongoing group. You would hate to stop the group because that's what people come for. That's what drives down these rates of loneliness and depression is ongoing participation in this group. How do you handle a wait list? That's trickier. Maybe Claudine can say what you have done. And starting a second group. All right. And somebody was asking, how much is the program? It's fully covered by the grant. So the Java Social program costs $4,500, so $4,500, and there's tax and $100 for shipping. So that's that. There's also a New Horizons grant for seniors. That's been a federal grant that has been funding the Java programs for several years now. So that's another option too. We've written most of the grant application, so it makes it easy for you to apply if you want to do that. You can just let us know, send us an email, and we will help you with that. Yes, Claudine, did you want to say something about the wait list?
I'm not sure there's much I can say, except we have one. And I think one of the things that Lisa's done, the coordinator for the program, that is important. She stays in touch with the people on the wait list, checking in with them, seeing if there's another program that she can engage them with in the meantime. And that's all we've been able to do to this point. And keeping in mind, we've only run through one, I think 8 weeks so far.
Yeah. And you started in March, so it's all still new to you and us too. So we're learning a lot as we go along. Yeah, somebody asked if the program is only for seniors. Thank you, Dorcas, for pointing that out. Yeah, well, the grant is for seniors. So I don't actually know the answer to this. Would I exclude somebody who's not a senior? Oh, I wouldn't do that if there's somebody who's there coming to the program, but that's a really good question. Thank you. You can also, thank you, Clayton, for putting my email address in there. You can email me for questions. These are really good questions. And yeah, I wish we knew all the answers to them, but we're learning and growing really quickly. And the main thing is that we know, one of the things when Grace was talking about the group that I was yesterday, I just saw so much joy. There was laughter and, there was a lot of vulnerability at the same time, but there was also a lot of joy. We just laughed together, and it's so healing. Okay, any other questions that I've missed? Please let me know, just post it again. And I'm sorry if I scrolled by a question that I didn't get. They're all good questions. Yes, Beverly, thank you so much. The transportation costs could conceivably be covered with a New Horizons grant. So what we could do is when we write the grant is we could, because the New Horizons grant is for $25,000. So if you apply for a program for $5,000 through New Horizons, then you could also add in extra costs for a facilitator. If it's somebody who's not doing something, you can't double dip with New Horizons. You can't have somebody who's already working there. So if you bring somebody in to facilitate the program, you can add their wages in, and then you can also add in transportation costs. So Bonnie asked, how many was the maximum number in a group? Yeah, I would say 8 to 10. Am I right, Grace? 8 to 10 would be, you can do it bigger. Right?
Yeah, I think, as I say, we have 14 to 16, and to me, that would be the maximum because we want to be respectful that people feel that they are heard. And so I say it's only because I have the increased hour, the extra hour that I go to 16, but I would have about 10 for an hour. I think that would be a more suitable for 1 hour.
Great. Yeah, good questions. Okay, so it looks like, are we able to have, Tracy just wrote, okay, so sorry, 2 new questions, right? Are we able to have the program if we get alternative funding? I'm not quite sure what that question is asking. Yes, if you have alternative funding, you can just purchase the program. So you can just email us at javagp.com. You saw our email earlier. And you can just purchase a program outright. And some people have done that. For example, the Edmonton Seniors Network has done that. they just had a grant and they just purchased the program. So they'll be launching it soon. Yay, Edmonton. If you need the materials for a second group, how much would this cost? If you have a second group, you can just use the same program materials. It doesn't cost anything. So you can just keep the program materials together in a container in the box. You can use the box that we gave you when we shipped it. And you can just do multiple groups with the same program materials. Some people put all the materials on a cart because they're a little bit heavy to carry all the stuff. Okay, Charlotte wrote, we already have a New Horizons grant. I know lots of people who have applied for example, the Ask Friendship Society in British Columbia has applied for a New Horizons grant for 4 years in a row, and they just got Java Social this year, and they have applied for different programs 4 years in a row, and every time they get the grant. So, so don't let that stop you from trying again. The kit costs, so it's 4,500. It includes everything. So it includes the training, the singing bowl. You asked about the singing bowl. It includes all the journals. Well, not all the journals, but 14 journals. And you can always order more journals and things if you find that you need more. So that's really good. These are great questions. Yeah, it could be Community Foundation. Could be too. Yes, I don't know about that grant as much, but that might well be it. There are seniors who do not want to disclose their stories. How do Java Social handle these cases? Grace, tell us a little bit about that.
Would you like me to
Sure.
add to that?
Yeah, that would be
Yes, I think the most important thing with something like that is creating that feeling of trust and letting that build up. And before you know it, you have people that were so hesitant and introverted wanting to share their stories. So I think it's up to the facilitator and the group to make sure that people feel safe. I have not encountered there. We have one person that is hesitant, but you can see she's slowly coming out. So I think if we create that safe space, then it encourages people. So I think that's the whole beauty of Java, is that safety where people feel, okay, now I am ready. And you can imagine the benefits of that. So I see it all the time, and I think it's quite thrilling to see people open up like the flower, Christine, the picture.
Yes. I've seen it over and over again. And the nice thing is that when we do the training, we talk about there's never any obligation of anybody to share. If they want to just come sit in the group and listen, they're very welcome, and then when they feel ready, they can talk, or they can do something like, read the guidelines or something if they're comfortable doing that. That way they're still participating, but not sharing until they feel ready to do that. Charlotte wrote, do we have to pay for the program every year? No, it's a one-time fee and that's it. So there's no subscription after that. You get to keep the program materials forever and ever. Amen, which I want to say. Okay, these are such good questions. Right, should have read, how does Java Social? Okay, I'm not quite sure what that last question is. Maybe somebody can help me understand that. Okay, I think that was somebody wrote, really excited to start this in Hope. Yes, that would be great. I drive through Hope all the time to go visit my family in the Okanagan, so I'll come by and say hello. Okay, all right. So if there isn't any other questions, please don't hesitate. If a question comes to mind afterwards or we miss something, please let us know. We're happy to help answer those. We can always answer your questions afterwards as well. So thank you, Grace. Thank you, Claudine. Thank you, everybody who came and gave up your lunch hour to learn about Java Social. And we're really excited about this project and look forward to meeting many of you along the way. All right. I think we're done. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Claudine.
Yeah.
we'll talk. I'll check out Christine. We can talk
Okay.
later if you would
All
like.
right. Thank you so much.